Today we are joined by Bobby Blanco from MASNsports.com. And of course, the CJ Abrams situation is still on our mind. Did the Nationals handle this situation correctly, or could they have done a little bit better?
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. And of course, I'm your host, Ryan Clary. You can catch me over on Twitter at RyanClary11 and as well as our show page at LO_Nationals. If you want to check out this podcast every single day, just look up Locked On Nationals wherever you get your podcast, whether it's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and of course, YouTube as well. Just search Locked On Nationals. Hit that subscriber button. Leave a comment, leave a thumbs up, whatever it is. We appreciate it. And we appreciate the support overall. But we are joined today by Bobby Blanco from MASNsports.com. Bobby and I will preview the Nats-Royals series a little bit later on in today's show, as it is the second to last series of the Washington Nationals. And as we get closer to the end of the season, has 2024 been a success so far? And of course, the Nationals are just 2 wins away from reaching their total wins from last season. So we'll have that discussion a little bit later on. But we start off with getting Bobby's opinions and kind of diving deeper into CJ Abrams. We talked about this yesterday, Bobby, or at least I did. And now you're going to have your floor to do this as well. But really what I want to get into is, could the Nationals have handled this better? But ultimately, this episode is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.com, the right state can make you a fan of any city, even your baseball rivals. Book today on Booking.com, the official accommodation partner of Major League Baseball. Get the Booking.com app today. So with that said, Bobby, how are you?
I'm great, man. I mean, I'm a little sleepy because I could not fall asleep last night. I was too excited after that Commanders win on Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
But, we know I talk about it right before the show, but no, other than that, good. Last week of the baseball season, kind of bittersweet, we want to keep talking about the Nats and want to keep seeing Dylan Cruz, James Wood play every day, but, I'm also kind of looking forward to the offseason, some downtime, and settling into this fall weather and football season.
Yeah, all good things come to an end, but CJ Abrams has been at the front of our minds in DC sports because over the weekend, CJ Abrams was out reportedly at a casino until 8 a.m. and just a few hours after that was then sent down, or optioned to AAA rather, and the AAA season is over. CJ Abrams down at West Palm Beach. But I kind of want to get into this, Bobby. Like, you weren't on the show yesterday, so I do want to get your situation of this overall. Like, just what did you make of CJ Abrams being optioned from that reported casino incident?
Yeah, I mean, this was Saturday morning. I mean, just from my personal experience of that situation, I was actually at the University of Maryland football game, tailgating, getting ready to go into the game, and my phone starts blowing up. Mark Zuckerman was in Chicago for us, so I wasn't around the club, but you're seeing all these reports that he's being optioned, and you're thinking, like, what, why? Like, the AAA season ends tomorrow. I know he's been struggling, but he's been playing a little bit better. Why does he get sent down now? And then, like, this full story starts coming out, and we're seeing, all the casino night, going out till 8 a.m. right before a day game on the road. So, first and foremost, I hope that CJ, whatever's going on with him, he's able to get the help he needs and get corrected. I think CJ is a very good guy, a good kid. I don't think he has, a bad bone in his body from, getting to know him over the past couple of seasons. I think he just made his mistake. You got to remember, he's 22 years old. Made a mistake. Now, I think the concerning part is that it sounds like this isn't the first time. And whatever message the Nationals sent to him after the first whatever couple of times obviously didn't go through. And I actually commend the Nationals for sending him down and ending his season early. Kind of being like, hey, this is not going to fly. Like, you can't do this, especially as one of the new faces of this franchise moving forward. We can't have you out doing stuff like this until 8 a.m., especially before a day game on the road. I mean, the other kind of annoying, frustrating part about this, Ryan, there's 1 week left in the season. All he had to do was wait a week, and then he could be doing this all he wanted for the next couple of months, within reason, I guess. But, I still just think that the Nationals are sending a message to their young team. It's a young team. They got a lot of guys in there that, they're very close. Who knows? Maybe CJ is like inviting guys out and some guys are saying no. But, for those who may be considering like doing the same thing, this is what's going to happen. You're going to be sent out. No one's untouchable in terms of this. And, it reminds me back in I think it was 2018 when Mike Rizzo traded Brandon Kinsler and DFA'd Sean Kelly and was like, if you're not in, you're in the way. And CJ Abrams is not, immune to that kind of thought process from the GM. So if you're doing something that's going to be harmful to the team or cause an issue for the team, you're going to be sent down. You're going to be removed from the situation, and that's on you. So again, I hope CJ gets the help he needs. Not sure what's going on with him, personally. Maybe it is just, he just had one bad night and, that's it and kind of can move past. But hopefully he gets the help he needs. I would imagine that the Nats are going to provide him with anything that he would require to try to get past this. Maybe just kind of reset in West Palm Beach. But, it is a tough look for him and the team. But I think they handled it well and did the right thing by this is a way to, for lack of a better phrasing, publicly punish him, show the world show the public that they are handling it. They did do something. They did punish him, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's some more behind the scenes punishments coming and restrictions being placed on him.
Yeah, you know what? Like with CJ, listen, the kid's a 23-year-old. I mean, I do think that this is a different situation though, because it's like when we say he's 23, we're like, yeah, of course, like he's still young, like he's younger than me right now, which I still feel like a kid at this point. And so imagine if you have millions in your back pocket, and of course, like you have the energy where you can stay at the casino until 8 a.m. and then get up and play a baseball game at 1 p.m. Obviously, that's not what you want to do, and that's not what you want from your franchise shortstop. But like, I think this is obviously it's a story. And I think overall it's kind of like going to be a funny story at the end of the day, considering unless there is actual issues. But at this point in time, I don't think there is. From the context clues that I have been given here, like I don't think this is. But I will say he's 23 years old. It sounds as if, like, if I were, again, just to use context, it's probably not the first time this has happened. And Bobby, you've covered baseball for quite some time now. I've watched baseball for quite some time. Like, these are things where you don't necessarily, this isn't like that uncommon. I will say staying up until 8 a.m. is relatively uncommon to do that, but like going out before games, like you've heard stories, you've heard tales from guys who are retired, like Jason Worth, other guys out there, AJ Przinsky, I've seen him talk about it as well, but this happens in baseball, man. So I do think like the overall, like a lot of Nationals fans have kind of been like, well, why are you taking this public? Like this should have been kept in-house. You should have just benched him. But no, like I do agree with you, Bobby. Like the Nationals handled this in the right way. Like you got to snip this in the butt. CJ Abrams is a smart, bright kid. You've been able to talk with him a lot. I've been able to talk with him a handful of times. And I think CJ is a really smart kid, a leader in the clubhouse as well. Really talented, has got all the tools to be a great major league player. So I think the Nationals did what was right for them and as well as CJ down the line.
I think so too. And the other thing too, I think when you look at it, it could have been a lot worse. Like there are worse things that CJ Abrams could have been doing until 8 a.m. than being at a casino playing blackjack or whatever it was. I mean, of all the vices that there are in our world, in our society, alcohol, drugs, other things, like it could have been a lot worse. I think staying at casino is on the lower part of that spectrum where it's not that terrible. And I do think it is something that they can nip in the bud pretty quickly. But yeah, I don't think benching him solves this issue or sends a strong enough message. Like I said, this is a young team. You can't just this was an opportunity for Mike Rizzo and Davey Martinez to really send a message to their young team. for anyone who is on the current Major League roster or plans on being on this roster in the coming seasons, like, this is not going to fly. I mean, yes, veterans come out after the fact and say, "Man, we used to do all this crazy stuff, yada yada yada." I'm not saying you can't have fun in season, but within reason, right? And so with such a young team, like I said, you don't want guys like Dylan Cruz, CJ, James Wood, Louis Garcia Jr., now Trey Lipps to come back. You don't want them to kind of see CJ doing that and be like, okay, well, if CJ gets away with it, then I can get away with it. Or oh, he only got benched for the last 6 games. That's not that bad. I can kind of do this. No. He got optioned. His season is done. He's doing nothing but chilling out at West Palm Beach.
Not that bad overall, if you think about it.
Well, right, but I mean, your season's over. I know. I just think that optioning him is a much more severe punishment than just benching him for the rest of the season. I mean, technically they are just benching him, but he's not with the team.
Yeah,
they complete. That's a hard message to send, being like, this is not going to fly.
And even then, like, I believe I saw that it's going to cost them around $30,000 missing these. I mean, that's not nothing.
Well, yeah, and I mean, CJ. He is a guy that has certain privileges as being one of the top prospects, one of the main guys on this roster. His signing bonus was a lot. I know he's getting paid rookie amount of money, but his family travels with the team a lot, and they get a lot of access. I just wonder if some of those privileges that he has maybe stripped away from him, and he kind of has to earn that stuff back. Next year.
Those are all great points, Bobby. And I think overall this will be kind of one of those things next summer we'll be reminiscing about, being like, that was kind of funny, when hopefully he has an 840 OPS and he's in the all-star conversation again. But I also think the timing of this all with him, kind of struggling in the second half. Like, if it was the first half of the season, I don't know what the Nationals would have done, but I do think the timing of it with all of his recent struggles and all of that stuff, he was just coming off a 4-hit night, I believe, on Friday night.
He's actually getting better. I mean,
he was, yeah.
I mean, he had a terrible July and August, but he's actually having a decent September.
He is,
so
yes.
He was on pace to finish the season pretty well. And, it's also kind of interesting that Davey Martinez has talked so much about, like, I'm thinking specifically with Luis Garcia Jr., how they want him to finish the season strong. That's why they're not starting him against tough lefties. And so you probably want the same thing with CJ. All right, he's coming back around. Let's have him finish season strong. And they would rather send this message that this is not going to fly than see him produce well on the field to finish out the season. I think that is more commendable than kind of just like biting the bullet. All right, well, we'll deal with it after the season. No, Mike Rizzo said, let's do something about it now.
Exactly. I think that's a very good decision by Mike Rizzo and the club. But now we got to get into, has 2024 been a success, Bobby? Well, let's get into it after I tell you guys about our friends over at eBay Motors. And there's passion, drive, and patience, which is the formula for winning championships. And it is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance: superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need at the price you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Now we get into it with the Nationals sitting right now at 69-87. Last year, their win total was at 71 wins and 91 losses. And Bobby, we are just 2 wins away from reaching that total from 2023. So I want to get your opinion on this, Bobby. Like, if the Nationals, let's say they don't win 2+ games over these next, final 6 games of the season, would this be kind of an upset for you if they don't reach last year's win total, or would you still consider this season a success for the Nats?
I think so. The Nats haven't used the word success, right? Like, you want to use the word success when they have a winning record, make the playoffs, stuff like that. So the word that they used last year was progress or something like that. Like, it was a good developmental year. in that lens, I think this year was a success. I think and a step from last year. Obviously you want to at least match and probably surpass the win total, even if by one win. That is a tangible number that we can point to and say they won more games this year than they did last year. I still think even if they don't make it, which is going to be tough, the Royals and the Phillies are tough matchups, and they both have something to play for over this last week. So it's not like you're going to be getting the backups from the Phillies maybe by Sunday if they've clinched the 1 or 2 seed in the NL. But Kansas City's still fighting for a wild card spot in the American League. So these aren't going to be, walks in the park for the Nats over these last 6 games. But I do think if you look at the bigger picture, you had James Wood come up, make his debut, and be one of, if not your best player since July 1st. You've had Luis Garcia Jr. make amazing strides, both offensively and defensively, in a year that coming into the season, if you remember back when we were down in spring training, I think it was right after you guys left, that he had those horrible back-to-back games, making errors on the base pass and in the field, and everyone's kind of thinking like, whoa, what is going on with Luis Garcia Jr.? Or we're going to have to have a serious conversation about Trey Lipscomb making this opening day roster. And then Luis Garcia probably was their most consistent player throughout the course of the season. CJ Abrams was an all-star for the first time. Mackenzie Gore, I mean, I know he had struggles, but in the first half of the season looked like elite ace stuff. Jake Irvin has pitched like a number 1 or number 2 starter at times. DJ Hurst and Mitchell Parker not only making their debuts, but staying in the major league rotation throughout the majority of the season. I just think if you look all around, Dylan Cruz making his debut, and I know he's struggling, but still holding his own, in the major leagues. I still think if you look at the bigger picture and the pieces that are really important to this franchise moving forward, Keibert Ruiz having a strong second half after a really terrible first half, I just think that is enough improvement to say that this was a successful season all coming off of last year, even if you don't have the win totals. Because, coming into the year, the win total wasn't the main, objective really. Yes, like I said, it would be nice to get 71 wins or maybe more again, but it's not, an end-all be-all for me, I don't think. And I still think that you can look at other points like I just mentioned and say this was a successful season in terms of their development heading into next year, where, all right, next year might be the time where they're going to have to really step up and try to take a major step forward, getting above 500, making a playoff push. But I still think this year was a solid year for the Nationals.
Same. I think this year was, and you put that in a great term, because it's like, you're still losing, like you're still one of the bottom teams in baseball. But going into this, I was actually kind of looking at this the other day, and I was kind of talking about, I was trying to think back. I'm like, what would make 2024 successful for me? And a lot of those boxes were checked off. Like, while Mackenzie Gore, the overall numbers may not seem all too great, but the first half of the season, he was phenomenal, in my opinion. Jake Irvin, the first half was phenomenal. And you got DJ Hurst to come up, looks really good. Mitchell Parker looked really good at times as well. And Mackenzie Gore here recently has looked really well as well. And I should say well more, by the way. But I mean,
one more time.
One more. James Wood has looked well. Dylan Cruz looked pretty well as well. So there's a lot of wells going on. But I mean, the Nationals overall, though, the things that I wanted to see, I saw for a majority of this season. Mackenzie Gore looked good. Dylan Cruz came up, made his debut. James Wood made an impact in the bigs. Josiah Gray was going to be on that list as well. Unfortunately for him, that was not one of the boxes that was checked because he had Tommy John surgery. Cade Cavalli was in that as well. That box did not get checked off whatsoever. So that is another unfortunate thing to see there. But I do think overall, the Nationals, it was successful. Now, the win column may not represent that, but the things that I really wanted to see, I saw. I saw Dylan Cruz come up. While he has been struggling here recently, I believe he was 1 for his last 20 in that Cubs series, so it's not good. He's kind of been in a little struggle bus here lately. Can't hit anything besides a fastball up in the bigs at this point. James Wood has been James Wood. Everything that we have wanted to see from him, we have seen. 21-year-old freak of nature out there. Mackenzie Gore, over his last 6-7 starts, really dating back till middle of August, he has looked really good as well. So I think the Nationals are finishing on the right track here, But unfortunately, like, to reach that, I would have liked to see like 75 wins this year, just kind of keep on climbing a little bit. But I don't think we're going to win the next 6 games going up against the Royals and the Phillies. The Phillies, in my opinion, might be one of the better teams in all of baseball, unfortunately. And that's been that case all season long. The Royals have been like the surprise team this year. Very, very good team as well. So it is a tough watch at times, I will say, watching these Nationals. Like, I miss winning. I miss winning a lot, but we'll see what the Nationals can do going into next season. As you know, Bobby, like, I at least think this. I don't know about you, but this is the offseason. The learners are going to have to make a difference. So
Absolutely.
We'll see what they can do. We will see what they can do. But, Bobby, let's get into it with the Nationals and Royals series. We've got a little series preview coming your way. And, of course, before that, I'm going to tell you guys about some of our very good friends over at Booking.com. And, of course, Booking.com is always our sponsor of Locked On Nationals. Booking.com, yeah, the right stay can make you a fan of any city, even in your baseball rivals. Book today on Booking.com, the official accommodation partner of Major League Baseball. Get the Booking.com app today, and you can explore those U.S. cities that you have secretly wanted to learn more about, whether it's a hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more on Booking.com. You might just find your perfect stay, even in your baseball rival city during postseason. Maybe you want to go up to Baltimore and catch the O's while they try to win win a World Series for the first time, what seems like forever. So maybe you go up there, and of course, Booking.com delivers exactly the right U.S. stay just for you, and the right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your baseball, and of course, even Baltimore. So, right, you can get Booking.com, which is, again, just download Booking.com, and of course, stay with our friends at Booking.com. Now, let me tell you guys about some of our very good friends as well over at FanDuel, and of course, you've heard us talk plenty about FanDuel, and NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Last night, Bobby, I had a little hunch in my back saying that Terry McLaurin would score a touchdown in the second half, so I placed a little bet on Terry McLaurin to hit a touchdown. And what did he do? He got a touchdown there, and that was so much more fun. I want you guys to experience that rush just like I did. And, of course, maybe even CJ Abrams. So all you have to do is you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That is FanDuel.com. Again, download America's #1 sportsbook. Again, just download FanDuel.com. Thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first
little shout out CJ, that read.
CJ was not in that live read, but we added that in there. A little feeling ourselves today. Locked On.
Yeah, I'll help you out. I hit my same game parlay on the FanDuel Sportsbook last night for the Commanders game too.
See? There we go.
Today.
Download today, FanDuel.com, guys. So, oh, man, what a time here. What a time here. But let's preview this series, Bobby, as, of course, you know what's happening today. It's the Royals, and it is the Nationals, one of the final series for your Washington Nationals. And tonight, you've got Mitchell Parker going up against these Kansas City Royals. So, Bobby, over this series, I mean, the Royals, we just talked about it, like, they're in the wild card race here. I mean, they've been a very pleasant surprise as far as kind of wild card teams go. Not many people expecting them to take this sort of step up this season. So what do you expect for this series? What will make this a successful series for you? And what do you want to see for the second to final series of 2024?
I mean, obviously for the Nationals, you want to win the series. And Davey Martinez has talked about this, like, you know, over the past couple of weeks, they've been able to play spoiler. They've had a chance to play spoiler. They haven't really done a great job of doing it actually yet. But, you know, winning as much games as possible, that always matters. You know, if they're able to eclipse 71, like we just talked about, that's going to be, you know, a good data point that we could point to that this was a better season than it has been the past couple of years. And I think it'll be something to be said against doing it against the Royals and then the Phillies. Like we kind of mentioned earlier, you know, these are two teams that still have a lot to play for. I think the Royals magic number to clinch a wild card spot is down to 6. So theoretically, they could clinch a playoff berth on Thursday at Nationals Park. The Nationals, you win the first game, that you're not having any celebrations on your home field, which will be nice.
Yeah.
So I think just to kind of dig deeper into the win total conversation. Yes, passing 71 wins would be great, but I think it's going to be even better if we can look back and say, hey, they beat the Royals and the Phillies in the process of getting past 71 wins. Two teams that were fighting, two really good teams that were fighting for playoff positioning. So, like I said, there's not going to be a cakewalk. I mean, you're going to get the best that Kansas City and Philadelphia has. Specifics, I'm looking at this is going to be the last start for Mitchell Parker and DJ Hers tonight and tomorrow. How do they finish this season? Both really good surprises, like Jake Irvin was last year. Guys that maybe weren't really expected to make their major league debuts as early as they did, but not only did they do that, they then stuck in the rotation and have pitched very well. I mean, you can make the argument DJ Hers has been their best starting pitcher over the past month or so. So I think that's a really good developmental story for this organization, that these guys, once again, they found starting pitching depth which we didn't think they had a lot of. Jake Irvin was a draft pick. Mitchell Parker's a draft pick. DJ Hers, of course, acquired at the deadline last year. So that's good scouting, both on the amateur side and pro scouting, and then also making the right deals and selections in the draft. So I think that's a really good story for the Nationals. They finished season strong. And then also, just looking ahead, sticking with this Royals series, Thursday is going to be Patrick Corbin's last start as a National. I mean, for all
at least we think.
We think. I mean, I think it's highly likely it will be the last.
Highly likely, yep.
Which, after all the talk, we've talked so much about him over the past 6 years, more so in a negative light over the past 5 years. But, it's kind of crazy to think that when this whole thing started, he was their number 3 pitcher and a really strong starter for them, and then winning Game 7 of the World Series for them, coming out of the bullpen. So it coming at end of an era, likely on Thursday for Patrick Corbin's last start. I'll be there for that. But yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to this series against the Royals.
Real quick, Bobby, do you think Patrick Corbin gets a standing ovation after he gets pulled from the game? Because here's my thing. Like, I've always said this every time I talk about Patrick Corbin. I'm just like, before I get into this and before I talk about how all the statistics indicate that he is the worst starting pitcher in all of baseball, which is just, that is the truth of this.
Yeah.
Like, it's unfortunate. But Patrick Corbin, man, you don't win the World Series without him. And for that alone, what he did in Game 7, what he did in 2019 overall, that contract was worth it right then and there. He could have, he was statistically, again, the worst starting pitcher in baseball since 2020. I will still sign that contract every day.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance he gets a nice ovation. I mean, the problem
is
it's a 1 o'clock game on a Thursday. Now that school's back in session, I don't know how many people are going to be there, to give him that standing ovation. But I think, assuming that he does also pitch well, he can't go out and give up 7 runs in the first game and then get pulled. I don't think
that would be
for that. But if he has a decent start, a quality start, then sure, yeah, I think he deserves a nice send off.
He deserves just one, just end it good, man. It would actually make me so happy to see him go out there and just shove 6 innings, 1 earned run, 10 punchies, walking 1, only a handful of hits. God, that would feel so good. And I'm sure that would feel great for him as well, because overall, if you accumulate all the poor seasons compared to that 2019 season, obviously the bad seasons stack up there compared to the just one really good season for him. So Patrick Corbin has been an ultimate pro, though. You've gotten to know him over the years. I've gotten to speak with him a handful of times as well. Patrick Corbin, still means something in that clubhouse. Absolutely. The guys love him. So hopefully Patrick Corbin can end it on a good note in 2024. But Bobby, you have ended 2024 on a good note as well here on Locked On Nationals. I will talk to you in the offseason.
You as well, Ryan. You as well, ending the season strong. Thanks for having me, man. Really appreciate it.
Of course, man. We will talk much more in this offseason, as it is going to be a huge one for this Washington Nationals. But until then, Enjoy the Royals game tonight. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Have a good one. Go Nats.